So often you just got to ask yourself how you want to live. You know, have you ever just got up and you went, how do I want to be today? You know, how do I want to be in this world? And I think it's huge. I think it's important that we all look at our lives, we live an examined life, and we say, how do we want to be? And as I was looking at all of the books on compassion, you know, I thought, you know, I want to live authentically. I want to be me, I want to be real, and I want to live compassionately. You know, and I think that most of you do too. I think that we wouldn't be here. We want to be able to step into seeing each other, you know, as each other, you know, being one with each other, and being able to see with compassion the eyes of the world. And I know to do that we have to step into authentic power. And that's what we've been talking about all month, is this idea of authentic power. And Judy mentioned it, and we probably mentioned it for 5 weeks. We have mentioned it for 5 weeks in a row. But you need to realize, and I need to realize, that authentic power is already within each and every one of us. It's the power of God, of the soul that runs through each and every one of us, that's covered up by a bunch of ego stuff. And when we can step into our authentic power, we can be compassionate. We can live the life that we see ourselves living. So if I want to be compassionate, I have to step into this authentic power, where my personality is aligned with my soul. See, if it's not aligned with my soul, I'm out off there running around with ego. But when it's aligned with something bigger than me, I'm compassionate. I'm loving. And so every day we have to make the choice. We have to make the choice of how we want to live. And so before I even start this talk, I'm asking you, how do you want to live? You know, what? Say the terms, you know, think about it in your heart. How do you want to live? How do you want to get up in the morning? How do you want to be? How do you want to relate to each other? You know, in love, in compassion? Do you want the frightened parts of your personality to step forward before the loving parts do? Are you going to allow the frightened parts to express? Or are you going to catch them and watch them? And that's what this whole idea of authentic power is about. You know, it's living in spiritual partnership with not just all of us here, but living in spiritual partnership with the world, with all of the world. So how do you see yourself in spiritual partnership? And Gary Zukav in these whole 5 weeks have been about what's required of us to do that. And he says, first we have to make a commitment, then we have to have the courage, we have to have conscious communications, we have to co-create it, and we have to have compassion. So I'm going to briefly talk about these again because it's so huge, you know, of how we want to live in the world. And that's even why we're here. You wouldn't be here if you didn't want to live from your heart. And you didn't want to have the best life possible. We were meant to fly. We were meant to soar. Not to live these frightened personalities. Not to live in fear, but to live in love. You know? So commitment. So I want to talk about commitment. Making your priority your spiritual growth. Make a commitment that your day, that your moment will be the best that it can ever be. And to do that, you have to make the intention. You have to make the commitment in your life. You know, that every day you will grow a little bit more. You know, we all make commitments. We all make commitments every day. And you can look at your life to see what your commitment has been, he says. Has it been to fear? Or has it been to love? And he said you can tell by what's going on in your life. Look at your life now. We all, this is not a judging, and we all are a little bit of all of it. We all, at some time, are in fear, and our life creates around that. And then at other times we are in love, and our life creates wonderfully. Because we are the creators. We are the creators. So how do you see your life? You know? If you don't know, look around you, he says. Without commitment to love, you can't choose when a frightened part of your personality is active. You don't even know. Without commitment, you fall back on all of the things that you do. Like eat chocolate, like drink, like smoke. You know, you go back to all of the default stuff without your commitment to love. So every day when you get up, it's like living one step at a time. I guess that'd be good for the 12th step. I'll remember to say this tonight. But you know what I'm saying? You've got to make the commitment to yourself. I will do this. I will be in love. And then take it step by step by step. See, you have a choice. And always the universe, God, supports the healthiest choice for you. But you've got to make it. That's what free will is all about. You've got to make the choice. We all do. Every moment we have to make that choice. And when we make that commitment, It's like the universe opens up to new waves of creativity, your life changes. It changes for you when you make the choice and make the commitment. So commitment's huge. And the courage. I talked about that, I think, did we do courage last week? It was the courage to stretch beyond those frightened parts of our personality. So if you've got anger going on, can you stretch? Can you see the anger? And then be able to step beyond it? To love those parts and then be able to step? Are you going to act on those parts? See? That's the courage. Courage isn't about doing something heroic, because that is heroic, to see that part of yourself and to change it, because that changes you and the world when you do it. Courage requires accepting responsibility for your experience instead of blaming others. And that's a big one. Boy, we become victims of everybody else. Oh, wow, this shouldn't have happened. If this wouldn't happen, I would be here. If this wouldn't have happened to me, I wouldn't have been here. If you step into your own personal power, to your courage, you realize that you are responsible for the life that you created. Co-created. We all are responsible for it. So we got to take the blows and we take the love, because we're all of it. You know, it's courage to address the stuff in our life. It's courage to see what we're creating. And it looks hard sometimes. It's difficult to see what we've created when your life is hurting. You know, why? Why did this happen? Why? You know, when? You look at it, you feel the sensations, and you see what part of your personality is acting. He said we have active parts, and then we have parts that kind of lay dormant for a while. So when we are encouraged, we see where we are. We check it out every day. The frightened parts express themselves as anger, as jealousy, as vengefulness, as superiority, as inferiority. You know, it's a whole gambit. Where are we? And it's important that we look at ourselves. Because when we act on anger, we create destructive consequences. See, that's how we create our life, in anger. And then all this stuff is around us. But when we act in love, we create these beneficial experiences. When we act in love. And you have to make the choice. Is it fear or is it love? You make the choice. And then there's conscious communications. We talked about that, conscious communications and actions. And that is learning how to respond, not react. Going inside, feeling how you feel, and then responding from a loving part. If you need to have a conversation that needs to be said, it needs to be said with love. You need to speak your heart and say it with love instead of off the top of your head. The animal reaction, coming from the new brain, not the old reptile brain of reacting. That's what conscious communication is. And then today, Judy said it well, compassion. You know, it's about compassion. Authentic power is about compassion. And compassion, what I don't want to do and what I've done my whole life is feel sorry for everybody, including myself. See, that's not compassion. Compassion isn't feeling sorry. How many times have I said to you, Judy, oh man, I feel sorry for that person, you know, and I feel sorry for this, and I feel sorry for that, and that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what Judy's talking about. Compassion isn't feeling sorry for anybody. That puts us on a higher level, doesn't it, than the other person. I feel sorry for that person. You know, I'm up here, they're down here. That's not what compassion is. Compassion is understanding. It's being one with the other person and realizing that that is you too. That there's a part of you that is going through what the other person is going through. And believe me, if you can't see it, it's there. If another person, if you see it, it's there in you too. And another person hurts, that's you hurting, because we are connected. We are connected at this level. And when someone else hurts, we hurt. And so we have to look at that. We have to look at what compassion really is. You know, everybody hurts sometimes. I love, my favorite quote ever is that by Plato, when it says, be kind. You love this one, be kind, because everybody you meet is fighting a great battle. Everybody, including yourself. You know what I'm thinking about? If you know when you just walking down the street and you see people's faces, if you could know the stories, if you could just like have some kind of, you know, TV where you could just see all of the flashing of their life, imagine how you would feel, you know, the compassion you would feel for them. And I'm thinking about the people that we meet in this bail business. You know, we meet people that have been through so much in their life. So much, their parents, the spouses, the kids that come in that we see, you know, and all we see is just their, hello, we're here to pay you the money, and all of a sudden we kind of start to talk, and then we feel, and we see these stories revealed, and the compassion starts to hit, you know? And it's not about just having compassion for somebody I can relate to. I was thinking about the girl in Laguna Beach who shoplifted. Remember her? You know, or had a little baby with her and stuff, and I felt compassion for her. You know, it was because I could relate more to her than I could the guy on crack down in LA, right? But the truth is that it's the same compassion. If you have true compassion, you have compassion for everybody, not just somebody you relate to a little more, right? You have compassion for everybody, not feeling sorry for, but you understand that there's a piece of you in it too, and there for the grace of God, there go I, it could have happened to us. Compassion is huge here. And when we step into that, we step into our authentic power when we can step into true compassion. You know, true compassion is really about listening to. It's about compassionate listening. Everybody here is compassionate. Everybody here is compassionate. And listening compassionately is so important to our work in the world. Whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, whether it's anybody going through anything in their life, if you can sit being a loving presence for them while they talk. I think the most compassionate person in my whole life has been my mom, because I remember going through this horrible divorce, and I don't think I shut up for you know, years. It took me years, and all I did was mouth off and talk and try to get it out. And she just listened, never judged, never said anything. She just listened, and I'll never forget that. You know, I think everybody else was probably sick to death of me, but she listened, and that was what is healing. You know, having without judging, without having to jump in to say something when somebody tells you something, you don't want to fix it, but to listen, that's compassion. That's putting yourself in their place, is knowing that it could be you too, you know? So I think that most of us, the message here is to step into your authenticity. You know, it's not about, I think what blocks us from this authentic power is the need to want to be loved and to want to be liked and to, you know, try to please everybody else. But that's what blocks us from this authentic power, you know, from our soul power. The answer is to just be authentic who you are and align yourself with that incredible power of God, that soul power. When you do that, you know, it's like it floods through you, and then you respond and you act from that. That's what authentic power is. That's how we are compassionate. You can't learn compassion by reading books. You know, I do that. I do it. I read books, I talk about, that's what I do up here. You know, but until I get it at this level, until I can feel the energy pour through me, I can't be compassionate, and neither can you. So that's what this whole series is about, stepping into authentic power so that you can live compassionately, so that you can have courage and that you can make the commitment to live the life that you were meant to live. You can make the commitment to live this. You know, I don't even like to say spiritual life, because honestly, all life is spiritual. It's just make the commitment to live the best life that you can live. Thank you for joining us. So we've come to the time of our love offering. So if you'll hold your hands together,